Also known as Kadarius Tony Lover, but I will have that name changed soon. It just won't let me because I changed it too recently. Anyway, I am making the prize picks for Week One college football and Week One of NFL. You can do it on any app, but Prize Picks is the easiest and nicest interface in my opinion. They're not the exact same, but they're relatively similar on other apps. So yeah, I'll just get straight into it. First of all, I know this Caleb Williams pick and this Jalen Milroe pick are all free squares. As you know, with Prize Picks, you need to have at least two picks in general. Um, so this gives you one of them automatically, which is pretty nice, and you cannot combine them. But I would still recommend taking advantage, even though you can only use $10 for them, because they're just they're just free, like a free money essentially. Um, Regardless, I'm gonna get straight into it. The first pick that I really like from tomorrow's game is Travis Hunter on the over. What I really like to do is look at game logs from prior years, prior games. I don't have some super in-depth analysis tool, but I think really just eyeballing it can be a pretty solid indicator of whether your play is a good one or not. And also looking at the best offenses and defenses from last year and this year. I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, like if you look at Travis Hunter game log 2023, not this one, go right here. It'll show you, his yard totals every game. So he needs to hit at least 70 and a half to go over. And as you can see here, when he was healthy, he had some injury issues last year, but this is the first game of the season when he was healthy. He consistently hit those. Bad game here, but hit. Bad game here, hit. Like he hit all except two games that he played in, and he did get injured in some of these games as well. So, like this one he got injured in, I believe. So this one is almost like a void. And I don't know what the deal was with the UCLA game, but 70 and a half seems like an easy win for me. So I would definitely hit this over for Travis Hunter. I think it's pretty likely he gets it. And then looking into tomorrow's game with Minnesota, I do like the over for Max Brosmer, 178.5 passing yards. North Carolina doesn't have the greatest defense. And I know this guy is a new quarterback, but I think that's a good thing because Minnesota's passing attack was really bad last year. And I do think that was largely due to inconsistent quarterback play. But Brosmer, 178 and a half isn't too bad. I could totally see him hitting that, in terms of and then in terms of like hitting an over. I mean, that's not that high against North Carolina. And then also Omarion Hampton. Okay, this guy is a senior now. And last year he had several 100+ yards games. So I think in college, the age and year of a player is pretty huge. So in the NFL, going from age 26, 27 probably won't make much of a difference. But like with college, freshmen and sophomores generally have a much smaller role. So the difference 1 year makes is often pretty huge. So 99 and a half yards, while it seems like a daunting number, if you look at Omarion Hampton's game log from 2023, he was easily able to clear this often. So, not the last couple, but look, 178, over 100, over 100, over 100, over 100, boom, boom, boom. Like some non here, and then here he gets over hundreds, over 200, which is insane. I know Minnesota's got a staunch defense. So, you see here at home versus Minnesota last year, he got 13 carries for 46 yards, but I feel like his role would expand more as we go as he's a year older. And it did expand more throughout the year here. So only 13 carries in this game, but against Miami 24, 29 against Georgia Tech, 31 against Duke. If he gets 31 carries, there's no question he's going to make he's going to make that 100-yard marker. But yeah, then we go further on, looking at Carson Beck and Cade Klubnik. That went higher. I think Cade Klubnik was at 188.5 and it went up to 190.5. I 100% take less on Cade Klubnik. The Georgia defense is very good. This is a neutral site technically, but it's at the Peach Bowl, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So it's going to be a home Georgia crowd. Clemson does very well at home, but struggles on the road. And I think 190 for Cade Klubnik is going to be tough against that Georgia D. and I would even be inclined to say that this is going to be a less too. Under I'd put less on Carson Beck's yards because Clemson's D is their strength. Their offense is what weakens them. Their inconsistent offensive play, especially on the road. But their defense has been strong the last couple of years. They've got some returning starters. They do have some guys who left, but I mean, I trust Dabo's guys to know what they're doing on defense and limit that passing attack. Oh, and by the way, also I don't have any. I'm not making these bets right now, because I have $0 in my account. I just did a big withdrawal, so this I'm only recommend. I mean, you can really just pick and choose which plays you want. I wouldn't recommend. I would do about like the same amount of money on each play, and don't do ones where there's a negative correlation with them. But like this one, for example, the payouts are different because these two are correlated together. So I would not do these two with the same one. So I would almost consider doing this one and this one. So you can get 60 there, and then Brosmer and Brosmer and Beck as a 2-play as well there. Also, if you are interested, the highest expected payout plays is 5-leg and 6-leg plays on Prizepicks. So if you really are, interested, just do boom, 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 and boom here, and it's like the highest expected payout. Well, actually, I think these are correlated as well, so maybe not the best, not the best option here. But yes, these are the 5 and 6-leg plays have the highest expected payout. As obviously, it is unlikely to get 6 correct or even 5 correct. So if you want to be a little bit less risky with that sense, say you don't have a ton of money to blow, like if you have a lot to not blow, but like if you have a lot to risk, then out of like if you make 100 of these, you're probably going to hit one, like some of them. But if you only do a couple of bets, you're like, oh, I don't really want to do too many. I would recommend doing the 2-leg plays and do not do any flex plays because those have a lower expected payout. Maybe if you only have like one and you're like, you know what, I got this Jalen Milroe easy guaranteed. Let's just give me a guaranteed little bit of money. That's the only case where I'd consider recommending a flex play. But I would I generally, the most ones I commonly do are the 2-leg power plays or the 5 and 6-leg plays as well. Especially when we get into the NFL season and quarterbacks and stuff like that, just to maximize my expected payout. But yes, so we just finished with Carson Beck and Cade Klubnik. I think another cool one is with Phil Maffa. Let's look at what Maffa has, because he is going to be the primary back this year. So I legitimately think, oh yeah, I would say more on this. I think that this is a demon play, and I hesitate doing demons and goblins. It's not worth it for the most part, in my opinion. But I would almost certainly put this for a receiver because he's the main back for Clemson this year. If you're against demon plays, you could just do more on the rush plus receiving yards because he is a huge huge big time factor. He was a major player when Shipley was injured down the stretch in both the passing and rushing games. So if you look here on his game log for 2023, 71 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. Like obviously he didn't hit the 85, but like look at all those touchdowns. He was a big player down the stretch, 23 carries. He did a lot. He did a lot for them. So I would especially with these touchdowns here, 2-1. He got 13 touchdowns on the season. Obviously, it's just based on the game. You can't really look at 13 touchdowns and be like, oh, he played 13 games, 13 touchdowns. But yeah, I would consider definitely betting on Phil Maffa as well for Prizepicks this upcoming week. But yeah, let's keep going, keep on moving. What else do I like? In college, there's a couple of interesting ones. I like, well, first of all, I do like in rushing yards. Oh man, LeQuint Allen. This guy's a beast. Definitely more for LeQuint Allen. I mean, he absolutely ran riot against Boston College and all those guys, I would definitely be like, I love the higher on this one. I know 95.5 is high, but like he had like regularly getting over 100 yards last season. And then finally, where's the Minnesota guy? I think there was one to Taylor. Is he not there anymore? Darius Taylor, yes. Okay. The square has alternate projections available. Yeah, so I would say more for 72.5. It was at 68.5 and already has gone up to 72.5, but I still like this. He's returning. He's like the main back returning this year. They had a couple of backs that they rotated last year, and he had some injury issues, which is why his game log looks a little bit off from this year's total. But I do like him to hit like 100 yards plus this game. North Carolina's defense is okay. Rush defense, I mean, but he's gonna be solid for. That's an interesting one right there. That just popped up, but he's gonna be a solid over for that one as well. And then the last one that so you could make this play, get $60 there if you want to make that bet. But the last play for college that I really like is, or actually, to be fair, there's a couple. There's two more. So I'll get right into them right now. So here, I'll clear these. All right. So the next two are quarterbacks. So you may like to hear that. You may not like to hear that. Grayson McCall is an interesting one. I'll definitely have to look into that. He's. I don't know how North Carolina State their offense will be this year, so I'm passing right now for him, but he'll be one to look into. Same with Aiden Childs. People keep saying hit the over for everything on Michigan State. I don't buy it. I would almost be inclined to hit the under on like the over-unders for the FAU game on points. But a lot of people seem to like this guy. Maybe hit the over on that just to see. But where is he? Oh, Donovan Smith. Yeah. Okay, Donovan Smith. I would be inclined to hit more on passing yards, and then also more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Wherever it says here, right here. Yeah. So it's not a depth demon or anything. So more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. He's a 5th, 6th year dude. He's older now. Experienced. Houston, I felt last year their record was much worse than how good of a team they were. They nearly beat Texas. He's a solid quarterback when he doesn't make mistakes. He often will throw an interception or two, but he's like Josh Allen. But maybe that's the play with him. But they don't have it on there for a reason because they'll probably throw an interception. But yeah, I'd be inclined to say over on passing touchdowns or over on yards as well. For the yards is probably a little bit less risky. But 238 is still a fairly high number. But again, they play UNLV. I think that's a fair. I think I'd still hit over for both of them. For now, I'll just put over for yards. But I think you could do passing touchdowns as well. And then the next one finally is Miller Moss, definitely over. People are gonna hate this because it's LSU, and LSU has a SEC defense. People like it. This game is in Las Vegas. Okay. And Louisville, I think, last year's Louisville team had a very solid defense, and he still lit them up in the bowl game. LSU's lost their quarterback. I would be inclined to bet USC just winning this game outright, even though they're 4-point underdogs. I think USC is somewhat of a sleeper team this year compared to the other teams joining the Big Ten. USC and Oregon are the two best ones that are this year, in my opinion. But I think everyone's expecting Oregon to be good. Not everybody's expecting USC to be good. USC people are going to think might fall off, especially with Caleb Williams leaving. But Miller Moss and that offense is going to be solid. Pick back up right where they left off. And then also they got a new defensive coordinator this year who is a massive improvement on. I can't remember what was the last guy's name, Finch or something like that. But yeah, this new defensive coordinator, everyone was looking at him. He has had success, and USC's defense was atrocious last year. So USC's going to be a solid team. But anyway, Miller Moss, Donovan Smith, both overs. Yeah. Now, I know it's still early, but I would still look at these NFL plays. Obviously, you want to hit the Caleb Williams if you can. Another one that I like is Patrick Mahomes on the under 264.5. Baltimore's got a solid D. The receivers with the Chiefs, they're Hollywood Brown's injured. Rashee Rice will probably play, but it's still murky on like what his suspension will be if he gets one. And then the rest are kind of, liabilities, unproven guys. So yeah, I mean, and then there's Kelsey, who's aging as well. He's still going to be a solid option who can get 60-yard games, but he's expected to get like around 60 yards or so. But Mahomes under 264.5 last year. I mean, everybody was who hit the under, who bet unders with Mahomes won. I mean, it was a very solid play to bet on Mahomes under for passing yards. I think 264.5 against that Ravens defense is far too high. Yeah, and then I believe regarding other ones, I do like Derrick Henry. I don't know if it's, I do love, 67.5 rushing. I mean, I don't know why you bring in Derrick Henry. I think the Ravens realize their mistake last year against the Chiefs in the playoffs because they were throwing way too much. And the Chiefs have one of the weakest run defenses in the NFL. And as I've said, you can look at this up as well. NFL run defenses rankings. And this is, a great website to help you see, how good each defense is. Average, so Chiefs right here, so they have almost 2,000, 4.5 yards a play. I mean, they're not a great rushing defense, and that's quite frankly somewhat surprising. I'd argue that it would be higher than this yard number here if the Chiefs were a worse team. Like, they had a solid team, obviously. They won the Super Bowl, had a solid offense. They had a lot of the ball and were very methodical in how they played last year especially. So this would be a way higher number, and they still have a pretty high, yards per carry ratio. So Derrick Henry, definitely more on this. Other than that, I mean, these are the only ones that I really thought of. I think Josh Jacobs hitting more could be a play here because AJ Dillon just got injured, so I'd almost be inclined to put Jacobs, but he's kind of, it's hard. It'll be interesting to see how everything plays out with him in Green Bay. Obviously he was kind of a boomer bust player a little bit. Last year he didn't have quite the rebound year, or didn't follow up quite on that year that he did in 2022, I believe. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Anything else? I mean, I do love Bijan Robinson as a fantasy player. I mean, 69.5 rushing yards is tough to sell me on per se. And then, like receiving yards. You know what I actually am thinking about right now? I'm thinking for receiving yards. Where is he? Where'd he go? They don't have Breece Hall. I would have bet Breece Hall over on receiving yards. Tyreek Hill is an interesting one because it's 97.5. I mean, he kicked butt at the beginning of the year last year, but he is another boomer bust type player. 97.5 is a huge line, and it's increased. So I almost hesitate to bet on that one. And then McCole Hardman, I almost want to say less for him here on 16.5. Again, you may want to check out on what his game log was last year as well. This is just me kind of going off the cuff right now. I mean, in terms of, these will be their two main receivers for Worthy and Rice for that game, outside of Kelsey. So it just depends how you kind of think, how they're gonna allocate everything, um, to those players, and like how Mahomes is gonna spread them out. I think it's largely up to chance. So that'll be interesting to see. Um, but yeah, and then finally, any others that I like here? Um, um, and Joe Burrow against New England, it's interesting. They have the most methodical offense, but he seems to get like a fair amount of passing yards regardless. Um, who I think is going to do well as well as Lad McConkey, and I don't think they've updated his. Uh, I don't think they've put any numbers on him yet for their Chargers game against the Raiders, but I mean he's kind of coming in as their number one. Like Josh Palmer was a second round pick, and that's their main guy right now. And I think Lad McConkey ends up being their number one receiver. So bet on Lad McConkey if you're interested in that. And then that one's another interesting one as well with Aaron Rodgers, but um, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff. I love Matthew Stafford. I mean, I'm almost inclined to hit the over on that, but it's tough. It's tough. That's a fairly high number. Um, and then Jared Goff. Yeah, I'm not hitting the over on Jared Goff. I don't know. Rams have too good of a defense, but I think I'm gonna wait till some of the ones for NFL till it gets a little closer to look at more receiving yards, rushing yards, stuff like that. Because some of these, I don't love the look of them at the moment. I'd have to do more research. Obviously I mentioned right off of the bat, I liked Mahomes on the under. I like Derrick Henry on the over, possibly McCole Hardman on the under for 16.5. And I know people will think, 16.5, that's so easy. But like if you're riding the bench most of the time, he's most of his yards are on like little sweeps or something too. So like they might just do a little handoff to him on the sweep behind. So I mean he's not really a true receiver. He's kind of like a running back. But yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see. I mean if you want, you could put Kirk Cousins over on that. That's kind of funny actually that they have that there. But yeah, anything else? Passing touchdowns, field goals, Butker. Actually, last year, hitting Butker on points and field goals, yeah, I would hit the over on that. I would hit the over on both Butker field goals, over on field goals, over on kicking points. Butker did that all the time last year because the Chiefs' offense just struggled to get into the red zone. And this year, I don't think it'll be different, because they have a similar type of offense that doesn't burn you. It's with Tyreek Hill, he could open up their offense so much, but now without him, they had to adapt, and they're still a phenomenal team, but they will struggle to get the ball into the end zone a lot of times. And Andy Reid is very conservative of coach, so if it's like 4th and 1 from like the 12-yard line, he'll just kick. So I would almost bet on both of Butker up more for field goals made and kicking points. Obviously, you can't do both of them at the same time. So you're going to want to find one where there's no correlation that you bet with. The Derek, well, actually, that might be correlated. But maybe it's not. Let's see. Yeah, it's not. So you could just bet those two together if you want as well. Yeah, let me know what you think. Again, this was the week 1 college football and NFL, week 1 bets that I have. I'll update further later on with the NFL bets. But there's a lot of money to be made here. And if you just spread out your bets over the course, and don't put too much on one player, there's definitely some money to be made, especially if you, take advantage of these promos, take advantage of, the free, matches that you get when you sign up. It'll be fun. It's gonna be a fun season. But yeah, again, this is Ben Sam, also known as Kadarius Tony Lover, and signing out. So yeah, peace.